me feeling like I'm academics. Can't run.
Just figured I really like the daytime streams. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. After around like 9 p.m. Eastern, I'm like, I feel like I'm about to give y'all a trash stream. Maybe I should get on anyway, but still. Anyway, welcome to another live stream from Big Ak. Chat niggas have assembled. We're all in the building. And unfortunately, the main theme and the biggest story that is of importance today is actually one that's rather unfortunate. Rich Homie Quan passed away at the age of 33. And his untimely death has caused a lot of reaction and also grief and sorrow in the rap community. We will reflect on his life, his legacy. We'll talk about some of the circumstances that are now confirmed around his death and how does this affect everybody going forward. Definitely want to send some condolences to his family first and foremost. Without getting too much into it initially, I do understand that the person who found him deceased, or at least unconscious, was his child's mother. And because of that, you know, obviously you can imagine the hurt and pain his family's going through. We see his father, who also posted. His father was operating in a managerial capacity around Rich Homie Quan. And he expressed a lot of grief. You can imagine they're going through a lot of sorrow, a lot of mourning. And yeah, we want to celebrate his life, but also reflect on his contributions, but also respect the ones who are hurting the most. And obviously fans are hurting as well. I think he's been part of, if you've really been into hip hop for at least 10 years, he's an integral part of it. We've frequently communicated, and I did an interview with him, I think 2 years ago, or maybe a year ago. And his whole thing was that he believed, and I agree with him, that based on how a lot of things happen historically, his contribution to hip hop in Atlanta has been severely underplayed. And, you know, unfortunately, and I've seen a couple people, we'll get into all that, seen a couple people mention, unfortunately, it feels like an abundance of flowers this morning and yesterday were arriving to be at his gravesite or to be at the place where he passed away rather than given to him when he was alive, okay? We'll get into all that, but I'm glad to have you guys here. Welcome to the stream. Let me make sure everybody's online. I see people on King Akademiks channel is chiming in, and they're coming in now. They tight over there. Them niggas was like, yo, we waiting since last night. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. The people on the Academy channel is popping into. If you do watch on Facebook, yes, we do stream on Facebook, and Rumble and Twitch are online as well. I think it was 33. Let me see. Rich Homie Quan age. It says 30. When was his birthday? Rich Homie Quan date of birth. He probably was 34. No. He's oh yeah, he's 34. If he's in 89, October 4th, yeah, 34. Why did People Magazine say 33? I think it's People Magazine. One of them said Rich Homie Quan. One of these outlets. Yeah, 11 Alive said 33. Doesn't matter either way. Fox Atlanta 5 said 33. New York Times said 34. TMZ says 34. Yeah, heavy topic. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I seen a couple people hit me and they're like, yo, Act, do one of those old school videos you used to do. By the way, I did dozens of videos about Rich Homie Quan, right? That's when I was just doing these voiceovers, like pretty much like news updates, kind of like 5 to 7 minute clips. And I know a lot of people are like, yo, you gotta do another one. I love the nostalgia, and I, of course, you know, maybe under certain circumstances, I would do a particular video like that. But I don't know. Every time I have to cover a rapper's death, despite how much you know them, and yeah, me and him have talked privately, and of course we did an interview when we met, but this rap shit is like kind of a fraternity. And, you know, remove all the selfishness out of there. I think anytime you see or hear about someone die, you think about your own mortality, but it is kind of like it's like a family, whether you fuck with the person or not. Despite, like, you know, there's rappers that I don't get along with, But like they're still part of the family. That might be the family member you see and you want to squabble with at the family cookout. But still in this community of rappers, and also even if you're a fan, like you grew up on these guys, right? You grew up on these guys. You feel like you know them, right? You've probably spent your money going to their concerts, going to support them in clubs, buying their CDs. When you do lose a rapper, for me, that wasn't never the fun. It was always really hard for me to do videos because I feel like I was doing like a eulogy, like doing a vocal obituary of a rapper's life by doing those news stories. So, this is a little bit easier because I get to just kind of like not just do a script because it becomes a little bit cold. Hey, he was this old when he died. This is how he died. And you get to the end and you be like, hey, make sure you guys go check out some songs of his and keep his legacy alive. This we could get a little bit more into everything. Anyway, just welcome to all you guys. I hope you guys have been good. I've been good. I was really thinking recently. I was like, they say death comes in threes. And I feel like, who did we lose recently? I feel like we lost another rapper not too long ago. We went through like a good 6 months without hearing about a rapper of any notoriety dying. And then I felt like recently, who am I thinking of? Who am I thinking of, Chad? I feel like I'm thinking of a particular rapper. Who is it? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Beat King, we lost Beat King, we lost Fat Man Scoop, and we lost Rich Homie Quan. Wow, back to fucking back. I feel like the last 3 weeks, and of course, even though he maybe career-wise he wasn't as accomplished yet, but YBC Duel, right? Also, if we go back more than a month ago, then we get into the Fulio. Yeah, it's tough. The Rich Homie Quan death situation. Yeah, I gotta do. Let me get to it. Okay. The Rich Homie Quan situation is always like when I was thinking about it, I was like, he looked healthy to me. Like I remember my interview with him, and he told me some stuff about some battles with drugs and stuff like that. But like, I've never chalked up Rich Homie Quan as a junkie. I've never chalked him up as the guy who has mannerisms of a junkie, the guy who's like falling asleep on live, the guy who can't do shows, the guy who's in and out the hospital, the guy who gets pulled over by the cops because he's fell asleep in the car or got mad drugs on him, the guy who's in and out of rehab. Never, ever, put that on him. And the unfortunate part of hip-hop is that there's many rappers, and by the way, we should mention Enchanted as well, right? Because I think she also died of an overdose. Many rappers do have a vice. And, I can't be a hypocrite, right? Like, I drink alcohol. Some of these guys pop pills. Some of these guys smoke. And you could try to be like, oh, well, listen, my vice is more safer than your vice. You know what I mean? But you just never know. So, like, I try not to shame unless I see somebody just overusing or abusing drugs to the point that it's, like, visibly affecting them. Like, without saying names, and this is not the time to throw other people who might be indulging in drug use, recreational or whatever. But there are certain rappers who we hear that they do certain drugs that would be considered hard drugs, and they're pretty functional. They go on world tours when they're ready. They drop albums. They're locked in, And it doesn't look like they get to that point, or maybe they don't know how to manage it, but that's still a tricky situation. Anyway, the latest news, and I guess we should just start with this Rich Homie Quan situation, right? The news came down yesterday that Rich Homie Quan was found dead at home. His apparently, as the story goes, his baby mother went to bring the kids to school, run a couple errands. I think he was like sleeping before, so she's just letting him sleep. She comes back, he's still sleeping. She's wondering why he's still sleeping. She kind of goes over. She realizes, and it wasn't one of those like fell asleep and drowned in the bathtub or whatever. Like we've heard that with a couple celebrities. Like it appeared that he was sleeping from what the info we're hearing, because she said he's just covered up in a blanket. And I guess she was a little bit alarmed by how long he was sleeping. Maybe she called his name a couple times. I don't know about that detail, but I'm just speculating. But she went over to him, and then she realized that he didn't have a pulse, right? I'm guessing she probably also realized that he may have not been breathing either, right? Anyway, regardless, she then called authorities, and when they got there, I'm not too sure if he was already dead, but he was quickly pronounced dead. We don't have the details of what life saving measures the paramedics tried to take, and if maybe he regained consciousness at a point, or was he just dead on arrival. We don't know that. Okay, there is a 911 call. I'm thinking about whether I should play it or not. I absolutely did not post it on my Instagram page nor my Twitter page. And I try to be a little bit sensitive about the last moments of somebody's life. There is some educational purposes in it that you could kind of understand what was going on, but we're not here trying to be heartless and invasive. This is something that family members, and eventually his children are going to be exposed to. So, not too sure if necessarily I should play it. I know it's been posted. It's on TMZ. It's been posted a bunch of places, but I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? I don't think we have to play it, right? Don't play it. Yeah, we don't got to play it. Again, I did listen to it. I think releasing that audio, even by the way, this becomes public. When you use the public services of the ambulance, of medical services, of the police, those communications with the police and the ambulance, those are public record. And I agree with y'all. Putting this out is kind of cold, but legally, all this is public record, right? Now, obviously, these outlets that grab it and be like, yo, this is what it is. Hey, and again, I don't think that's my thought on every 911 call, but when I listened to this, I was pretty saddened. Anyway, I'll read what TMZ printed on their site. It said TMZ obtained a 911 call. Okay, we're not going to play it. From Rich Homie Quan's death. His girlfriend told the dispatcher that the rapper wasn't breathing and didn't have a heartbeat. She revealed that he was unresponsive on a couch in their home when she called 911 and started foaming at the mouth when she tried to move him. Oh, wow, that's dramatic. Yeah, so he died. Now, it's interesting that we already are hearing it's a bad pill, because what usually happens here, the running theory is that he died. He was, I don't know what pill. Again, the drugs I take. I drink. I don't smoke. I don't do pills. So I don't know the side effects of these pills. I don't know what pill. I don't know if Xanax. I don't know if it's fucking. What's the thing called fentanyl? No, not fentanyl. People don't take fentanyl, right? Perks, whatever. But maybe it was a Xanax or something like that. From what I hear, a lot of these pills are cut with like fentanyl. And fentanyl in very small doses could be very dangerous. Quickly throughout the industry, and I'm not talking about just fans speculating, that became the word. Yo, yeah, he took a bad pill and overdosed. Again, I'm going to still say that's a rumor because he still has to be examined by the medical examiner, who's going to tell us the official cause of death and is going to go through an official toxicology report to really figure out what's going on. I see now also today, and it's a part of grief, and I'm not going to reject it or accept it. I see fans also saying that Rich Homie Quan was drugged. They believe he was drugged. And I wouldn't go as far to say that, but that's a possibility. Until the medical examiner tells us what was in the system, I'm not going for nothing about bad pill. It could have even been poison. I'm not going to lie. But we got to wait for the medical examiner to tell us exactly what it is. If they're like, yo, it was fentanyl, found in this amount of milligrams or like particles or whatever, and they'll tell you if it's a toxic dose. Yeah, they'll let us know. But the popular theory I see people in the industry adopting is that he overdosed from taking drugs himself, and the drugs supposedly was a bad batch or it was a bad pill. Okay? We're going to have to wait to see, right? Again, the official cause of death could only be determined by the medical examiner, and I actually believe if there isn't, if it's not a bad pill, this might get ruled or this might be investigated a little bit more. You know, if it's poison or anything else, then it might possibly get upgraded to like maybe a homicide investigation. But it would be very, very premature. We shouldn't even speculate that at this point. So we got to imagine, hey, it's not like he was around a bunch of niggas and a bunch of strangers or with a hoe in a hotel. He's with his child's mother. His child's mother goes to take the kids to school. It seems like whatever would have happened just based on that story, he was in a comfortable place, and anything, if it was any type of drug that he ingested, he probably did it willingly. Just going off those details. We don't know, but I think that's a decent running theory at this point. We can't confirm either or anyway until the medical examiner speaks, as I said. His family, by the way, it was officially reported by a family friend. And, you know, his family then confirmed it. But his family does tell TMZ they're shattered and heartbroken by the sudden death. No cause of death has been reported. They're desperately searching for answers. His real name is DeQuantis Lamar. He was born in Atlanta. Came on the scene in 2013 with his instant classic Some Type of Way. Obviously, we know him for his features on YG's My Nigga. And even he had some other favorites that popped off around 2014, 2015. That was his era. Like, if we think about 2014, there's a few rappers that's automatically there. You remember Rich Gang because it was Thugga Thugga Motherfucker and Rich Homie Quan. We all know that, right? That was the era of Fetty Wap. You would get the Shy Glizzies of the world popping up at that time. And I might be maybe a year early, but I think you see the A Boogies as well. That was like, these guys are changing the landscape of music. I will also say that Rich Homie Quan and Young Thug, they helped further and evolve the sound of Atlanta rap. We got to give a lot of credit to the Migos who came before them. Let me say before Rich Homie Quan, pretty much, right? The Migos they kind of burst onto the scene before. And they had like certain type of styles that were very infectious. Rich Homie Quan came with some melodic, like sing-songy but infectious type flow that kind of like worked. And him and Thug, I'm not gonna lie, like shit, I can't even. I'm trying to think of a basketball analogy, to be like, yo, who they were, but they were killing it, absolutely killing it. I'll read what his father said, and we'll get a little bit more into his life and career. His father posted from the Rich Homie Quan management page and said, "Unbearable pain. Lord, please, please, please help me to understand this. To lose my son, my firstborn, my best friend. Lord, please let this be a dream. Y'all pray for me and my family. I feel like I'm crushed into a million pieces." Of course, you got to imagine the hurt and pain his father is going through. And I can't understand comments like that. How you sad and posting to the internet. What? Like, it's as if to say a father could possibly not be sad. Like, no parent wants to bury your son. Of course, like, you're crushed, you're broken, right? I send my condolences to his father, obviously. You know, Rich Homie Quan, and mind me a little bit as I try to take you on a journey, contextualize his life, but also highlight and celebrate his importance not only in Atlanta, but also musically along the landscape of just a progression for the youth. Rich Homie Quan, someone to mix a little bit that with news, and we're going to look at other people reacting. I do have to say, man, when I sat down with Rich Homie Quan last year, was it last year or the year before? What I took away from that was that, bro, he was just criminally underrated, and he got a bad shake when it came to music. I'm not going to sit here and accuse anybody of being fake. and we are going to get into some of the reactions by other people in the industry. But Rich Homie Quan was left out there to die. And I rooted for Rich Homie Quan because I like the underdog in every situation, right? If you think about the people I usually champion, they're usually underdogs. They're usually favorites, and then the industry shits on them, and then nobody wants nothing to do with them, and they're still fighting, but they don't got too much to fight with. Those are the people I like. Rich Homie Quan was one of those people. If you think about Rich Homie Quan's career, and everything I'm saying here isn't to make no one look like the bad guy. No one look like an asshole. No one look like it's a conspiracy. It's just the tale of the tape. And if I do get anything incorrect, it's just based on my understanding, and it's out of no maliciousness. So I would love for anybody to correct me if I'm incorrect on any point I made. Rich Homie Quan's career was going straight up. And if you ask me what stopped, it's not a lack of talent. I think he was one of the most talented people. He was one of the biggest hook makers at that time. Like, he sat and told me, it was like, listen, he said, Mamacita, like, I'm the one who started that. Travis took it and, of course, ran with it. And he wasn't mad about it. He was like, that's good. But that was creation. My nigga, that's not YG. That's Rich Homie Quan song that YG did a brilliant job on it, by the way. I'm not saying this to discredit the other people. I'm saying this to tell you how prolific this guy was. So when we get to like the 2017, 2018 era, and we stop hearing about Rich Homie Quan as much, it's not because he's untalented. That's my point I'm trying to make. I wasn't trying to down Thug or Travis or a lot of these guys. What I'm trying to say is that this guy was a really talented motherfucker. He was from the era where that person who was good with them hooks were good with making them songs that would capture all the clubs and everybody near and far. This is the era of Fetty Wap. What was Fetty Wap good at? Baby, won't you come? Those great hooks. Rich Homie Quan was that guy for Atlanta. There were other great Atlanta artists. I'm not saying he's the only one, but he was the guy. We all remember this. What I believe happened to Rich Homie Quan's career is something that is so unfortunate, but out of his control. Rich Homie Quan became a pawn, and I'm not using that word to disrespect him, but his career became a pawn in an ongoing feud between multiple parties in trying to control him as an artist. What happened is, during the Rich Gang era, Birdman started having some influence in Atlanta and wanted to get these two guys underneath Cash Money, Rich Homie Quan, Young Thug. Young Thug was down with it. Rich Homie Quan, not so much. And not really him so much, because he's an artist. But Rich Homie Quan had ties to people, Donovan Thomas, other people, whole thinking it's a game, that made that a little bit hard. Eventually, what happened, a lot of why the split happened with Young Thug, yes, on the surface, you could be like, yeah, well, Rich Homie Quan didn't like Thug calling him Bay and Boo. Of course he didn't like that shit, but that's not really why they split. There were politics. The politics happened that Young Thug and Rich Homie Quan could no longer be a duo and could no longer make the music that we loved for 2-3 straight years when they gave us Rich Gang the Tour, Part 1. So what happens is, being loyal, and remember, Rich Homie Quan, not no bitch or nothing like that, but he got street niggas behind him. They're the guys who been pushing everything he got going on. Birdman comes in and wants to take over the situation. He's getting some resistance. Thug is 10 toes down for Birdman against anybody, including Wayne if it needs to get there. What ends up happening is that, out of loyalty, Rich Homie Quans steps back from Thug. He would either have to betray the people he was with, or realized that this situation was bigger than him and out of loyalty just stepped back. That's exactly what he did. Ironically, also at this time, Travis Scott also is in the mix. And I actually thought for a minute, even when you think about Mamacita, right? We know Rich Gang, clearly, Thug and Rich Homie Quan. But I also, Thug started to build a relationship with Travis Scott at that time. Really interesting relationship. And I thought that these three could have been a three-headed monster. Look what Travis is now. Look what Thug obviously became. Obviously, Free Thug, whatever. But I thought if all three men, as artists, remained on the same boat, I would be hard-pressed to think that Rich Homie Quan isn't mentioned in the same breath in 2024 if they all were just at least as Thug. I'm not saying it was going to be Travis. Again, if I start losing some facts as I'm making everything I'm saying, please correct me. And if there's anybody from Atlanta who knows a little bit more, because I feel like I've talked to enough people that I kind of know the ins and outs a bit, please educate me. So Rich Homie Quan falls back. There's now a feud that's happening between Rich Homie Quan's people and Young Thug's people. Rich Homie Quan can't make no music with Thug. Young Thug and his people pretty strong in Atlanta. In every way. Streetwise, they're kind of mixing the two. That's why you see an indictment. Rich Homie Quan falls back. He doesn't go to beef with Thug on record. He's not carrying the beef for the people who not getting along with him. He just falls back. Puts himself in a weird place musically. It seemed to fans like me and you, damn. Obviously, we all used to clown Young Thug for calling him Boo and Bay. But we're like, damn, you fell back from Thug and fell off. No, he fell back because the street niggas behind him is going at it and into it with the street niggas over there. It all culminates to about a year. I don't want to get the years wrong. Birdman makes a quick exit out of Atlanta. And by the way, I think Birdman was smart. Birdman is no dumb nigga. When Atlanta PD starts realizing, check this out, this Birdman nigga's coming here to Atlanta, he's heavily promoting this blood shit in Atlanta. It's where you start seeing them halftime videos. You start seeing a lot of that. See them on the jet with, it's a heavy blood. Once Fulton County announces, they announced three. I don't know if they did a RICO back then, but they announced one arrest. Obviously, the Lil Wayne tour bus shit matters. The Wayne tour bus shit happened a lot. Birdman escaped being indicted with with Roscoe. Actually, Thug and Birdman escaped being indicted by the skin of their teeth. Birdman said, "Peace out, Playboy. I'm gonna catch y'all niggas." Okay? Now he still fucked with Thug. But he no longer were going to play into some of the politics that was happening in Atlanta that most people, us fans, don't know about. But that was all weighing down on Rich Homie Quan's career. Some of his drug use, we'll play some videos. Maybe we'll get him speaking on his own situation. But essentially, that's the tale of the tape. Rich Homie Quan's career was pretty much sacrificed, or his momentum was sacrificed because of loyalty to street dudes who helped put him on and who were financing him at the time. I think anyone in here would probably say loyalty-wise he made the right move, maybe not career-wise, because these guys were going to the top. A lot of people would just stick next to the heat rather than stick next to the street dudes. It is what it is. Young Thug takes a hold on Atlanta. This is now 17 and above, right? 2017 and above. And because of this feud, it makes it impossible for, remember I was talking about media in Atlanta? A lot of Atlanta was viewed as hot as like clubs. Like the clubs dictated what was played, at least at the time. I think they changed up all the rules for like when clubs could open. Like what's played in the nightclub, the strip club. Young Thug got like he's running that shit with an iron fist, which if he's feuding with the people behind Rich Homie Quan, the more Young Thug you hear, the less Rich Homie Quan you hear. So it's almost like Rich Homie Quan just got wiped off the map. Why? Young Thug is going against the people behind Quan, and Young Thug is clearly making hot music, and he's running shit, and they're doing anything on the street. So we hear nothing about Quan for a good while. By the way, it's not ironic that the attempt of Rich Homie Quan to really come back on the mainstream level only happened when Thug gets incarcerated. That's not coincidence. That's not coincidence. When Young Thug was free, again, he's not beefing with Rich Homie Quan, but everything Rich Homie Quan represents is what he's not with. Okay? There's a moment I did an interview with him, Rich Homie Quan. And let me see if I could. I asked him specifically about the Young Thug song. By the way, yeah, he said, Travis Scott. He said Mamacita was my song. This is also an interesting part here where he was. This is not even a theory. This is what I heard from real street niggas in Atlanta. Like I be saying this like a theory. Like I heard from that. So he didn't really want to say anything, but yeah, we did an interview a year ago. Actually 2 years ago now. Damn, 2 years ago, September 18th, right? By the way, remember, Young Thug is in jail. I remember talking to someone in Atlanta. This person remained nameless, but they're very important to the Atlanta scene. They told me, they said, yo, watch out. And they're right with everybody they tell me to watch out for. They'll be like, yo, watch out for Honcho. This Honcho dude just pops off crazy. I remember they said, watch out for Rich Homie Quan. The streets is fucking with him again. I said, what? I said, Rich Homie been on for like mad long. We just haven't heard from him. He said, Rich Homie's he's going crazy again in Atlanta. What did that mean? Young Thug got locked up. His music started getting love again from all the places that, because of Thug, stopped fucking with Quan. You could just put two and two together, right? Anyway, it gets to this time. He pops out off the record, and we have this conversation. I don't think he says much, but you'll hear my theory in full, and it's not a theory. That's what I heard from the street niggas in Atlanta. A little bit. So, and I'm going off of a fan, like, I consider myself just a huge fan. I see everything. I know that. So this is, when I'm trying to think about the story of Rich Homie Quan, I said, they got mad momentum. For sure. One of the most talented niggas in the game. Yeah. When did it start to slow up and why? And I started putting pieces together. Okay. So this is my theory. You tell me. Yeah, you tell me if I'm just like, nigga, you keep 100 with you. All right, bet. All right. When I now come to find out and think about it. Okay. Yeah. Number one, you signed to Think It's a Game. Yes. You got Lucci as your fucking label mate. Yeah. You and Thug was rocking for a while. Yeah. That shit, I don't know what happened there. We always wanted to hear the answer. Okay. Never got it. Okay. You fell back. Okay. Things also got a little weird with Things a Game, but that's business shit. For sure. And it felt like something was happening, and this is what I'm thinking. Some shit probably was happening, either street shit or whatever. You just didn't want to be a part of it. You fell back, and through that fallback, fans who are just only used to seeing music was like, what the fuck happened? You know what I mean? Sometimes the best answer is no answer, and that answered out everything you just said. Right on the money. You know what I'm saying? That's what I took it as. Come on. That's what I took it as. Come on, man. So sometimes the best answer is no answer. You weren't right, man. Like a lot of that was right. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna get into that, but sometimes the best answer is no answer, man. But I was still working the whole time, man. You know what I mean? Because, like, you know what I mean? I came in the game by myself. I wasn't trying to pick no sides. It went by picking sides. You know what I'm saying? But were you forced not to, again, picking sides? To like, because y'all had a little Rich Gang thing going on with Birdman. You got the Rich Gang. That album, that fucking mixtape was hard. Bro, you got to think, at this time,
This before streaming. So imagine if streaming was out then. So you gotta think, this would change. I feel like niggas wouldn't even.
That's another thing about Rich Homie Quan career as we go over it. One of the reasons that Rich Homie Quan's is severely underrated is that his career seemingly died down by the time streaming became so important. So he's a live mixtape Spinrilla baby. He's a My Mixtapes baby. He's a Dat Piff baby. And that era, by the way, for all the YouTube documentarians, yo, I'm giving y'all a jewel. Actually, maybe I produce this myself because I feel like a lot of these guys just want to cover murder. Yo, going back to evaluate the mixtape era, you could just take like a good 7 years of it, right? Or maybe a little bit earlier. Just start from a year before DJ Drama gets rated for mixtapes, right? The mixtape era and those artists, you got to realize it's a reason why Days Before the Rodeo, which by the way just sold 350 or 61,000 copies. It's not a new project. It was dropped 10 years ago. Remember what I'm telling you? So before about 2016, everything is pre-real streaming era. We're in the mixtape era right then. But the mixtape eras are these sites that people are going crazy on now, or like the feds have all fucked up. Whether it's Audio Mac, Dat Piff, or Spinrilla, like those were the places where, like, if y'all were a Meek Mill fan back then, I remember niggas, the barometer of Meek Mill being lit was Meek Mill's mixtape did 1 million in a day, or something like that. Like it did 1 million in a day on like, was it Dat Piff? Niggas was talking about that like it was platinum. You get what I'm saying? The Wayne mixtapes, of course. Yo, if someone does a real good documentary of that, and you have to do it right, because this is, you see, you got no music business. During that time, if you equate what these sites were making in terms of money, how they were getting around record contracts and getting free music, how they were also violating other people, because sometimes people would rap over other people's beats, how how that affected the music business, because the music business started to take advantage of artists as well, because they're like, oh, y'all doing these things called mixtapes? All right, cool. We get to determine when you drop an album. So we don't care if you drop it on that site or not. You might give us a project and be like, no, this is going to be a mixtape. This doesn't count. When you analyze from top down, from the labels crying to the feds locking up DJ Drama, sites changing how they were putting out music, right? Now, obviously, the reason why the DJ Drama thing happened, I think they were printing up shit and selling it without like either a barcode or without like a sticker or something like that. The whole for promotional use only era, like there's mad little things that if you really go and like parse through, you're going to find a lot of these superstars, and I'm going to call them superstars of the mixtape era, that these days we probably take for granted. Now, granted, people that are like, there's artists who lived through this era that are, like Thug was in this era too. Thug used to drop 1 million mixtapes, but Thug later had a lot of success in the DSP era, and because of that, we don't look at him as only a guy who succeeded here. Rich Homie Quan is a Mount Rushmore nigga of that era. So if we're going from, let's go from 2011 to 2016. 2011 to 2016? Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Oh, somebody said I won't get too many views. Well, I mean, somebody like me would watch it because, like, I love music business shit. Like, I'm like, let me tell you this. I was gonna say some wild shit. I'm still gonna say it. I got the. Nah, it sounds too gay. I can't say it. I was gonna say I got the mouth of Charlemagne, but the mind of Lear Cohen, and then the expertise. No, that sounded wild. Pause on the mouth of. No, it's like I think a lot like an executive at times. If you figure out how the music industry got from there to here, that's a story that is like really intriguing, like really fucking intriguing. Anyway, whatever. Let me let him.
Been doing collab projects to me and Thug did that, bro. Niggas went out and
Pause. I'm saying pause again. I'm saying, and by the way, yeah, these little makeshift groups and collab tapes. Well, actually, did they collab before Watch the Throne? Not saying that Jay-Z and motherfucking Kanye was like, oh, Rich Homie Quan and Young Thug linked up. Let's do some shit.
doing deluxe till I reloaded the first still going in, bro. Let's set that straight, bro.
That is true.
Yo, I remember my mixtapes gave this nigga $30,000 and got a whole mixtape from him. Yo, my mixtapes was making bank. I know they were, bro.
Feel me? They calling it deluxe now because Quan reloaded it. You can switch the words, but I don't get my credit, and I be cool with that. You feel me? I'm top 3 in Atlanta, and I'm not 3.
Yeah, nah. You definitely
I'm top 3, and I'm not 3.
Okay, let me see if he speaks about Thug again.
You almost get more legs because
On the road 10 years, I'm 10 years straight every weekend doing the same song, bro, from 10 years ago, bro, because it's timeless music, bro. These niggas know they can't fuck with me. I feel like they be scared of me, bro. You feel me? They don't be wanting to give me the credit they know I rightfully deserve. They know, bro, you can't mention Atlanta without mentioning Quan. That's period when it comes to sound.
I agree. Let's also, I remember he also spoke about it. I remember the interview. Rich Homie Quan speaks on Young Thug. It was an old interview. I could just scroll, and whenever I see the fucking thing, I'm gonna be like, oh, that's an interview. It was old. It was in a radio station. It was at some radio station. That's when niggas like had to go to like, you know, not even just the Breakfast Club. They were going to like random radio stations to do interviews type shit. Could I interview? It's an interview. Let me see. No. It's in a radio station. I guarantee. And I remember like what I got from that is kind of like he was creeped out. Like not creeped out, but like not like he's scared of them, but you could tell like, bro, it was bigger than what he could even lead on to why he just wasn't, you know, why you didn't see him with Thug no more. Radio station. It was a radio station interview. Can I find the fucking interview? I remember that bit. I remember it so well. But I'm like an elephant when it comes to interviews. Hip hop related shit. Okay, I think it's a 2015 interview. Let me just go there. Rich Homie Quan 2015 interview. Could I find it? Come on. No, that ain't it. Is this him at the Breakfast Club? Why can't I find this shit? Yes, give me like about 30 more seconds. If I can't find it, I'll just search for something else. This is 9 years ago. Maybe this was what it was. Yeah, I think it was on Hot 107.9. Maybe it was that.
To the writing game, and let me have so many songs. So I put 110% in everything I do, and I'm definitely getting it back out of it, though.
I can definitely be that. I mean, how do you feel being the first independent artist that go to the top of...
Nah. That ain't it. Nigga, I just remember this shit. All right, let me just put it.